Welcome to the Front Garden, brought to you by Straight Curve Australia, leaders in precision engineered steel garden edging systems, built for speed, strength and finish.
And welcome to the Front Garden podcast, brought to you by Landscaping Victoria and Straight Curve Garden Edging. This is a podcast that talks about all things landscape, from on the ground to designing those beautiful gardens. And today we have Dean Oliver and Matt Johnston from Can Do Landscapes.
Thanks for having us, Adam.
Absolute pleasure, guys. How are you, Matt? Good.
Well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Dean, want to know about how the business came about and what drew you into the industry as well?
Yeah, so what drew me into the industry was I was actually at uni studying property development, and I got 2 years into that course and saw myself not wanting to wear a suit to work day in, day out. So at the time I was doing a bit of landscaping just for neighbours, for friends and family, and I thought, gee, I want to learn how to do this properly.
Yeah.
So I got in contact with MEGT, who paired me up with a landscaper in Ascot Vale. Shout out to Agent Landscapes, who are in Wood End now. So I was very fortunate to have a great educator, mentor and friend teach me everything that I know now about landscaping.
Was that a big company or a smaller company?
No, he was just a one-man band. So
that's good. So you really get to learn from direct employer.
Yep. So I felt like my skills accelerate quite quickly. And then I was part of basketball groups, footy groups, schoolmates. So they all came in to work either as labourers or as apprentices as well. Yep. So I sort of got to like manage and work with my friends whilst I was learning and teaching them. So
not a bad gig, is it? You got your mates working with you. You're learning a cool trade, listening to Triple J or Double J on the radio or whatever it is.
Yeah, it was R&B Fridays for me.
R&B Fridays, yeah. And so after that, obviously, Dean, how long were you with that employer before you thought, I'd love to start my own gig? Yeah,
so I did my full 4-year apprenticeship with Adam. Yep. And he moved to Wood End for his family, you know. 3 months after sort of doing that drive every day, I sort of did that drive, which was an hour each way. And I thought, gee, this is hurting a bit. Yeah. I was living in Bourne at the time and thought, let's give it a crack. So I was in a little apartment, had a 2x1 storage cage, and, you know, tools rolled from site to site. The profit that you made would generate the next tool and the next lead. And then, we sort of grew.
So when you started up with Can Do Landscapes, your first employee, did you start with an apprentice or a labourer? Yeah,
so I had actually a couple of my old boss's apprentices that came to me because they didn't want to do the drive as well. So I sort of had an instant workforce, which was good because they were the guys that I'd trained and had come through, I guess, the same systems as me. Yeah. So everything sort of worked quite cohesively. Yeah, yeah. And then they went off to either do their own thing or go to uni or transition into something else.
But that's great because you know who you're getting in because you've been trained the same way. So obviously sitting to your left, we've got Matt Johnston here, who is also obviously part of Can Do. Yep. How long have you been on for, mate?
Oh, 6 years now.
6 years?
Yeah. So I came on, I think, halfway through second year apprentice, finished my apprenticeship and moved up pretty quickly with Dean. So
when you came in, did you learn a lot of what type of skills did you really hone in on that sent you to that next level of being 2IC after you were qualified?
So at my first company, there were a lot of other apprentices, a lot of fully qualified people. So I did learn a lot from them, but then moving to working with Dean, I learnt how to run the sites pretty much solo with Dean. Learnt that it wasn't up to anybody else; it was up to me. Yeah. So if something went wrong or something needed fixing, it was if Dean wasn't there, it was up to me. Yeah. So I learnt pretty quickly how to kind of fend for myself. And then when Dean got a couple of other apprentices on, he actually came down with the shingles. So I, oh no. Yeah. So we were in the middle of a job and he just went, I can't come to site. I can't do anything. And I don't know how long I'm going to be sick for. Matt, you're in charge. And I was like, okay, that's.
Sometimes that's the best way to learn, isn't it? Sort of in the deep end.
Thrown right in the deep end. And once that happened, he came back to site and I'd changed like pretty much everything that had been quoted. And that's when I learned about quotes.
What do you mean? What do you mean you changed?
So like there was this grass area that was supposed to be the same level, and the clients were like, oh, we want to use all of these old bluestone pitches, raise up the yard level and make this a raised area for the lawn. What do you think? And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Like, let's do that. We spend a week focusing on bluestone pitching with the other apprentices, and then he comes to site and he's better, and he's like, this is blown out of proportion. What have you done?
Well, how much money have you spent?
Yeah, exactly. But the clients were like, we knew. So yeah, I would say that was probably my defining moment of learning how to run sites, how to step up and be in charge. That was, what I consider my defining moment there. So,
and you're always going to be learning too. Like it never stops, obviously, as business owners and everything. But it sounds like that was the pinnacle moment to think I can actually run jobs.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Dean, then you obviously saw that in Matt and said, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's bring you through.
I think Matt's awareness, attention to detail, and care are the big three, which is what's modelled him to be like a wonderful leader. And now we're lucky enough to be at the stage in the business where my core focus is finding the work, sourcing the work, client relationship up until we start. And then day one, we introduce Matt, and then Matt's the conduit, I guess, between client and myself.
Yeah.
Which is great for me. You know, it frees me up to, source the work for 4 or 5 guys and not have to worry about the day-to-day. As long as the material's there, Matt's got it fully under control.
So you're off the tools?
I think Matt would nod his head to that question.
He's on the tools sometimes, but when he's on the tools, I tend to tell him to go away.
To hop off the tools.
Hop off the tools. Like you're not running this show. That's my thing. You know, it's you. Stay over there.
No one's upset if the phone rings.
But that's good. But that's good. That's what you want.
Yeah.
My team say the same thing. If I'm ever on the tools, I'm maybe just pushing a wheelbarrow of concrete for him, because also that's a time where you can zone out and switch off. Yeah. So, but it's good that Matt's saying pop off.
The other day he was like, oh, I'm going to do my first cut of the day on the drop saw, and then the phone rings and he's like, no, I'm not. And I'm like, he's like, Matt, you cut it. And I'm like, well, okay, thanks.
I will.
But yeah, it's great. It's great. And yeah, it's a pleasure to see like Matt come to his fruition.
Yeah.
Effortlessly manage guys and subbies.
So with like managing the jobs, Matt, what systems do you guys have in place? Do you sort of have your WhatsApp chats? Do you have any sort of program management software that you use?
Yeah, we've got a group chat on Messenger that everyone's in. So Dean likes to be really on top of that. So it's, if he's like, oh, do we need anything from home? It's not just one person that responds in that. He would prefer for everyone to do it, because then it's, you know, if someone thinks of one thing that everybody else has forgotten, then at least they've locked in on that. We also have an app, so that's done for photos, for lists, for materials we need from home for the following week, or a Bunnings trip, or whatever it is. It's in that app, so there's never the question of, oh, I don't know what I need to get. It's there.
So the communication doesn't go just from Dean to yourself, it goes to the whole team.
Yeah.
So you're keeping everyone included. Yeah. Everyone can see. That's really good.
Yeah. Everyone shares the app, and it's really good even for going back to jobs. Say, what grout colour did we use, or, you know, what fitting was that, or what type of screw did we use?
Yeah.
You know, years down the track, they might want the deck re-oiled. Did we use Merbo or natural? I can't remember 5 years after.
Yeah.
We just log into the app, pull up the client, and it's easy for everyone.
Matt, on site, do you find that really useful, because it's not just you? If the message is sent to everyone, someone might say, oh, Matt, remember this and this, and it keeps them accountable too a bit?
Yeah, well, it kind of takes that away from me. So if I'm in the middle of focusing on 10 different things, like how the entire day or the week's going to go, or if there's a massive issue or something going on, and then Dean jumps in and he's like, oh, I'm leaving home in 20 minutes. What do you need? I'm not thinking about what that one tool is that we don't currently have. I'm thinking about what's happening over here. So then one of the apprentices, they'll just jump in and then they'll tell me. And when I have that moment to settle down, I'll go, have you thought about this? Or have you thought about this? And sometimes like I won't run my eye over everything fully. Like I think it was last week, one of the apprentices forgot to pack a lead. No one knew. And I was like, oh, well, that's just a stock standard thing that you would pack. So then Dean turns up to site and he's like, all right, plug the mixer in. Let's get some concrete going, and I'm like, yeah, we don't have a lead.
Yeah, have to bring out the mouse on the wheel for that one to start powering the engine.
Luckily, one of the apprentices has a collection of his own tools, so I was like, just go get your lead. Thanks.
I thought you were going to say one of the apprentices was on the mouse on the wheel.
No, they would have been doing the hand mixers. So, but yeah, that's where it's the responsibility doesn't fall just onto them; it falls onto me as well. And Dean makes me aware of that, where he's like, "You should have checked," and I'm like, "Yep."
Yeah.
But everyone's got to have practice. Everyone's got to learn, and Matt probably hasn't been to the shed for 3-4 months.
Yeah,
which is a good thing, because we're letting the young guys pack the utes, think about the tasks that we're doing. Because it's not just doing the work, it's thinking about how we're going to do the work. And then the apprentices come out qualified knowing what they're doing and how to do it, not just fixating on one specific task, not thinking about, well, where did those materials come from? Do I need to put fuel in the car? Just the little things.
That's interesting because that's where it's a learning curve for everyone involved. And I want to ask both of you guys about this, but Dean, mainly, what are some of the challenges? Obviously, Matt's got these wonderful strengths coming through and is obviously doing well. What are some challenges you've found as a leader towards Matt? So is there something you thought maybe I could have done this differently so something didn't get lost?
Yeah.
Or
I think, before, we probably only had the app for maybe a year and a half. And that was a big one because I was relying so heavily on Matt retaining all the information that I'd said verbally, or put in the group chat or sent on Messenger or direct text him. So we had 3 or 4 different platforms as well as the conversations that we were having.
Yeah.
And obviously no one can absorb 110% of one conversation. And it goes both ways. So I don't like being told something and then I've got to remember it. I like it being in the app. So that's one example that I would use of this the technology coming in now for record keeping to just make it seamless or as smooth as can be.
And Maddie, would you echo that same thing? Like in the sense, what are the challenges you've felt as being too IC? So what are some of the things you felt, maybe I could ask this or this could be done differently?
I think it comes a lot from observation of what I've heard from the apprentices. So a big one that I've had to work on is my approach to things. So every apprentice that we've had or have all learn differently. So just at the start, it was a just do as I say type of mentality, whereas now I've really had to work through, okay, well, he likes to be coddled. He likes to just be told what to do and to just go off. And that, I think, is probably what is the biggest thing that I've had to really work on, is just analysing everything and taking a slow approach and not just jumping the gun and, it's my way or the highway. There's got to be a lot of room for everybody to grow or to have their own input, because it is a learning environment. And at the same time, I am in charge of someone's landscaping. It's not simple, but I can't just, take all of that learning away from them and just, do everything myself. So that's probably the biggest thing, is stepping back, but at the same time being on top of everything. But
it's good that you recognise that too. And it's good that you're getting the feedback to say maybe this or this could change and that you're receptive to it. Yeah. And obviously Dean would look at that and go, that's great. Yeah. You're taking it on board like a business owner, it sounds like.
Yeah, which is absolutely wonderful that Matt can, I guess, take that step back and pivot his communication style to manage different personalities. I feel like I've had to do the same as well.
Yeah.
Especially with the new generation coming through. Just changing your approach, I guess, to maximise, someone's output, but also their enjoyment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It sounds like you guys have a really good system going. So in terms of, you said that obviously you got a few apprentices that you like to bring on the apprentices. What's your approach to getting apprentices on board?
Yeah. So what we like to do, I'm sure everyone is aware of Rob Stewart at Holmes Glen.
Absolutely.
He was one of my teachers.
On speed dial.
Yeah, he is. He's one of the favourites. Rob was one of my teachers at trade school, and when I did go out straight away into my own business, Rob was one of the first people I called and said, hey, I've got some guys that are transitioning from my old company. We want to get them under my my company into the TAFE, and then the conversations developed with Rob of, hey, have you got anyone else for us? Like, we're growing. So using the TAFE as a portal to, I guess, pre-screen, and then Rob would get apprentices that may have been paired initially in the wrong sector of landscaping that they didn't want to be in, whether it was like horticulture or the maintenance side, and they wanted a little bit of exposure to construction, or whether geography came into it, whether they were working in the city and they lived out, out in the outer east. So Rob was how we would phase in, I guess, apprentices. But then sometimes if you got someone who was midway through the first year or the second year, sometimes they had some bad habits. So then we sort of pivoted and went, okay, how can we get them before they've
picked up those
habits. And that's where we started going. I went back to my old high school, and, did a talk, about, VCAL and VCE not being the only pathway. So we started getting in some school-based apprentices, and pretty much, how that sort of functions is there's a section of the education department called LENS, which is spelt LLENS, which stands for Local Learning and Employment Networks. So yeah, pretty much like if you Google them, they're the service. It's a free service where they will pair students who are wanting exposure or work to industry. And it doesn't have to be trade. It could be anything. It could be hairdressing. It could be accounting. It could be fashion. But obviously trade is a big one because there's a lot of kids that, are going through the year 11, 12 pathway. That's a great option. But a big sector of the kids are trade, so it can be great for like Landscaping Victoria to and get in contact with like Lens and the TAFE as well, because the apprentices get to come in 1 or 2 days a week and then go to TAFE while they're doing their year 11 and 12.
Right. So
at school.
They're starting their apprenticeship?
Yeah, so they're doing like a part-time school-based apprenticeship.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really important that the kids do stay in school and don't just go 0 to 100, finishing at 16, getting on the tools. Because they don't have the emotional maturity, the communication, or the physique. To be able to handle 5 days a week on the tools, and getting some exposure. And it's try before you buy for the business.
It's a good way to do it. So I think it's called VM now, isn't it? So VCAL switched to VM. So that's
vocational major.
Vocational major.
Right.
So that's what that is, isn't it?
Yes.
That's part of that. So that's connecting the kids in school to their apprenticeships, a try before you buy, as you said, which is a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Matt, how many apprentices do you guys currently have on site usually?
We've got 2 full-time right now, one who is a school-based apprentice. We never really have more than 3, so not including the school-based. So depending, I think, Dan and I haven't discussed it yet, but I'm assuming that it's probably the ideas in the back of his brain of like, are we going to bring on another one soon? Because we've got one that's about to go to 4th year. We've got one that's halfway through his 2nd year. So, it does probably make sense to integrate another one, maybe full-time, not including the school-based.
So if you have any of the apprentices that come in, as you said before, having unfortunately picked up some habits that maybe you need to weed out, how do you approach that? Just patience, or how does that work?
It depends on what the bad habit is. If it's anything PPE related, I am so strict with PPE. It's not funny. Like, I've injured myself so many times, and that's what I say to the boys, where I'm like, if I'm telling you to wear safety glasses for one cut, it's most likely because I've either heard the horror story or it's happened to me. So I'm like, if it's that's number one priority. And then if it's anything else, a lot of discussions, a lot of different approaches. So if one approach doesn't work, I'll try a different one. If that one doesn't work, then, sit down with them and say, how can I get through to you? Not in a negative way, but I want to help you. Like, I want to show you how to do this task. I want you to step up or build your skills, but you're holding yourself back by not adapting.
You're trying to find what works for them.
Yeah.
That's going to make them retain that. So going back on the safety thing, which I think is really good, really, really good, obviously, and incredibly important. How do you implement it to make sure it gets done? Do you obviously got your swims? Do you have everything documented? How do you get it through to the staff? Besides verbal.
Besides verbal, showing or taking the right.
Yeah.
And taking the right away. I'm like, if I can't trust that you're not going to use safety glasses while cutting a paver, you're not cutting pavers.
Yeah. Perfect.
If I can't trust that you're not going to shove a shovel in the mixer while it's spinning, you're not making a mix. Like, it's that simple. I'm like, I need to make sure that your health and safety is always number one. So, if you can't be trusted, it's like taking a toy off a 2-year-old, you know? You're not doing it. Sorry, not happening.
Well, that's the best way someone's going to learn if they want to do something and it gets taken away and there's a reason why.
One of the apprentices who we currently have, I kept telling him last year, I was like, you need to think, like you need to slow down. You really just need to pace yourself. You're going too fast. You're taking on too much. You're trying to step up too much. You're going to have an accident.
Yeah.
And then he did. And entirely his fault. Like he wasn't thinking that was what he said. So that's when I went, right, so what we're going to do, we're going to take all of this away, and when you slow down and start doing things properly, then you can get the next thing back.
Yeah.
So, and now the incident, anniversary, quotation marks, was Saturday that just went. So I worked with him yesterday and he was like, oh, it was the 1 year anniversary. And I'm like, and
you remembered it.
Yeah. He was counting it down last week. Yeah. And I went, and look how far you've come. Like, you're not making these mistakes. You're not, jumping the gun.
Improved awareness.
Yeah. Spatial awareness. And I'm like, you're wearing your glasses, you're doing this, you're doing that. Like you've really come a long way in the last year. So, and it took that incident for him to go, okay, maybe I do really need to start.
Hopefully it
thinking.
wasn't too much of a major incident, but obviously it was something that really made him think.
Exactly. It wasn't like
listen and
10 out of 10. It was just, it could have been avoided if you had have spent literally 30 seconds of thinking about what your spatial awareness was. So.
And that's just young blokes thinking that they're invincible and can go 100 miles an hour without any consequence.
Exactly. And it's a good lesson to people, anyone listening. It's a great lesson to think that obviously if it happens to you, then you will most likely be really, really careful in the future.
And there is a reason why the qualified or the team leader is telling you something.
Yeah.
Because, something's gone wrong in their career. And it's just looking after your safety.
Exactly. And
we're not trying to hassle you.
It needs to be done. So it's
Landscapers, designers, architects, listen up. Straight curve steel garden edging installs up to 3 times faster than traditional systems. No drilling, no tech screws, just a clean, sharp finish. And right now, the first 10 Front Garden listeners to get in touch will score a free 7-metre Click Connect box. Email the word edging to connect@straightcurve.com.au with PRO in the subject line, plus your business name, address and phone number. First in, best dressed. Get your hands on a serious edging system today.
Speaking of your team leaders and apprentices, so what's your current setup, your team size?
Yep. So like I'm, I guess, the quota, the estimator, the tool man, the shopper. And Matt's day-to-day operations on site in charge. And then, as Matt said earlier, we've got the 4th year, the 2nd year, a school-based apprentice who's currently doing 2 days a week with us, plus going to TAFE.
Yep.
And then, Rob's been called about onboarding the next full-time apprentice in.
So do you see any potential for someone that's currently with you to step up to maybe help Matt?
Yeah, definitely. I think the apprentice that is about to transition into his 4th year, he did like some plumbing and excavation before he started. So he was already at that 2nd year level
and they've got that trade experience.
Yeah. So he's a wonderful asset to the business, and his approach and communication, I think, will benefit Matt, will benefit me, and the next stage for the company to, sometimes we'll tackle the 2 jobs at a time, but often enough the jobs are sufficient enough to just have everyone focus on where they're at, and it's just one at a time.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're spinning too many plates, It can be trickier for me, trickier for Matt, trickier for where's that tool, where's that, where those materials going there, like it can just get a little bit tricky to manage. So
absolutely, and I think it happens to everyone. Like it happens to me a fair bit. You just got to really slow down and try to take things in a sensible approach and dedicate the time to doing those things. So it sounds like that support could be good for Maddie and could be good for you, obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
Free up a bit more time. So you said you do the quoting and things like that.
Yep.
What's your quoting and pricing process?
So I just try and use a lot of different revenue streams or sources of work for how they find us. So we'll jump on the Landscape Victoria website. I think that's a great portal for jobs.
Yeah, definitely.
And you can be fussy with it, whether it's based on location. You can get the read of the brief quite easily. Is that the right client for me?
Yeah.
Or is that do we need that right now? So that's a good gap filler that I find. Other ones we'll utilise and lean on our subbies. Sparkies, plumbers, pool compliance guys, pool repairmen. They're out going, to their sort of jobs, and they're often asked, hey, have you got a guy that can fix that pool coping, or have you got a guy that can rebuild that deck? So we have those relationships with those subcontractors that sort of are generating a lot of work for us. And then we've got just the basic stuff like our signage, phone numbers, T-shirts. It's amazing how that all generates work where you're currently working, because you're so visible. And then recently we've put a bit more effort into the Google, the Instagram, just starting to promote ourselves a bit more online.
Yep.
And that's generating more than I thought at a quicker rate.
Sure.
So yeah, I guess with the quoting process, I'll generally sort of sit down, for 2 or 3 hours after going to the site consult. And I call it a site consult because depending on the size of it, and you get the feel on the phone before you go, whether or not you're going to throw out that this is a charged quote, and it can be the right client or the right scope of works. But I think, if you get a good feel initially on the phone, if they're hesitant or not willing to, pay, $150 fee for your fuel and your time to go out and measure, for a decent sized job, you're going to have problems later on. So that's like a bit of a pre-screening tool that I use. If it's a small one or if it's a referred one, like a referred quote, and we're just down the road, you're not going to use that method. But it's something that I've used in the past. If we are booked up, 2-3 months in advance. And then I've just got my my sort of like Excel spreadsheet, a lot of notes on my phones, and I'm just going off history. That's how I do the quoting. Did that work? How long did that take us? Was my material math right? Yeah.
It's always a challenge.
Yeah.
Even though the Excel spreadsheets are there, you can still got to draw off your own experience.
Exactly.
Sometimes think is this right?
And it is touching base with Matt and the boys. Sometimes you go, okay, fellas, just went to a quote. Here's some photos. How long do you reckon that aspect will take you? We've got 60 squares of paving, or you've got a screen. Is that 2 or 3 days? Yeah. What do you reckon?
Ask the team, exactly as you said. I think that's
my favourite thing to do.
Also, what I find as well, and I think a few other people have said this too, is that jumping back on the tools, whether it's just running a wheelbarrow or something, kind of gives you a fresh idea of how long things can take.
Yeah, a bit of perspective.
Rather than going, that should have taken that long. Something you said before about charging for quotes, that sparked my interest. How do you find the response to that from clients?
Sometimes it's an immediate negative, which is an okay response, which is fair enough. But I guess other times you're often coming referred from their neighbour, from their friend, from someone at the footy club. So I think that or the subcontractors that you're using. So I think if they trust the person that's referred you, it's okay. It's often those cold calls, those cold calls, or the person that just saw the T-shirt or just calls up the number. It it can be a time wasting exercise by not throwing it out there, but it's got to be, your business has got to be at the right stage, and your workflow, 2-3 months out has got to be there, because if you're going, oh, I'm going to charge 150 for quotes and just test that out, if the answer is no, well, you back off from it for a bit. So it depends what the market's doing as well. I think last year, that September, October time, that was the quietest probably we'd been for 4 or 5 years, which was really bizarre. And then, I think it was a wetter end, not end to the year, but those months were very wet. Yeah. Sort of September, October, November, and it was just nuts. So we were doing the work, like we'd win a job, we'd do it straight away and be like, okay, cool. What's next? And then December hit and it just went nuts. Yeah. You get that job off Landscape Victoria and you're like, cool, I can breathe. We're good. And then the phone keeps going and going, and then you build your way out.
As you said, it's kind of like your qualifying questions that you use on the phone like with clients. A pre-screen, exactly. It's perfect. So, and that's a good avenue to do it. So this is what it will cost, and it'll immediately just send people off. So rather than actually saying, sorry, I just can't do the job or don't want to do the job and giving a bad impression, you're actually just being honest, saying this is what it costs for us. So going back on terms of quoting for the materials and how long things take, Matt, when you're on site, are you documenting all these things at all? Do you document how long it's taken to do something, just a basic, for example, 8 hours today excavation, 6 hours concrete prep?
Yeah, Dean and I are very much in communication with that. We also have an end of day frank conversation, like pretty much every day, where he will ask me, how long did it take for this person to do this? And sometimes we'll be like, I wasn't, that was my fluff, I'm keeping you busy job. I wasn't paying attention to that. Sorry. But most of the time I'll be like, 5 hours, 6 hours, exactly 3 hours and 45 minutes type thing. And we're both pretty good with keeping track of that. He does kind of put the pressure on me to keep track of it, which does help.
So when you say that, like a deadline sort of thing, so we need to have this done by this date, or
Dean never really does deadlines anymore with me, because he knows how long the tasks are going to take, but also like we're both pretty good at forecasting. So Dean will always allow for enough time to, worst case situation with the job. So he'll say, I think it'll take you a week. And I'm like, 4 days.
But it's a good challenge.
Yeah, it's a good challenge.
You can do it in 4.
2 days.
That's okay.
You know what? One day we're going to have it done.
I think it was January. He's like, I reckon you'll get to the end of the pool by the end of the day, starting at one end of the pool to the other end. And I was paving and I was like, no, I won't. I'll be finished at 12:30.
Sounds exactly like something I've said before. Don't worry.
12:30 on the dot. Like
really?
All tools down. And I looked at him and I was like, I told you it wouldn't take me all day.
Oh, so you said it was going to take less time.
He usually says it's going to take longer than what it is. And then
I'm not upset.
Yeah. So we'll wrap up a job like 3-4 days early sometimes. And then it'll be like, whoa.
It's just, we got to be pessimistic sometimes about these things as business owners and go, it's going to take 3 days, and then we get impressed and surprised when it gets done sooner. So that's
it
great.
Can show that you are a little bit out of touch on the quoting or the time you think your team is going to take to do something. So it's a good reality check. When something does go really well, you're like, okay, cool. Well, that can mean we can buy that tool, or we can go to that lunch, or we can
I can pay rent. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, but it's a fine balance between the two. I think making sure that you're not underestimating time, but overestimating the time building. Oh, we got this in the park. And I was like, this is a ridiculous timeline, Adam. Like, we're not going to get it done and take your foot off the pedal.
To be fair, I think it comes down to the team strengths. It comes down to the apprentices' strengths and everybody's strengths of, that no one's messing up, or if they are messing up, then, the problem is solved pretty quickly, or, they're not doing the same cut on 3 different pavers. They're doing one cut one time, the correct measurements, the correct everything. So, and hats off to the apprentices for doing that. But that's why the jobs go so smoothly, is because everybody is so on top of what their tasks are, and they are really focused on their quality of work and making sure that, if there is a muck up, immediately they know that they can come and say, I've messed up. And it's never a matter of aggression. It's a matter of okay, well, this is how you fix it, or this is how we avoid doing it next time, and they will. So that's why it's all so smooth, because things rarely go wrong. So,
So with things going wrong, what are some of the tasks that you've seen on site, Matt, that maybe will go wrong a bit more? So, for example, excavation, is it services under the ground, or setting heights with levels and realising that drainage issues, things like that?
Drainage issues is a big one. I always press clients. I'm like, you need to do drainage. We've had multiple clients be like, I don't want to focus on drainage. I don't want to spend the money on drainage. And then we get phone calls saying, oh, like the whole lawn is soggy. Why is it soggy? I'm like, because you didn't put any drainage in, type thing. But we're pretty good with not hitting services. Never.
That's been something that's everyone's had practice at hitting services. And,
plumber on speed dial.
Yeah.
So that, like, sometimes it'll be like, oh, we didn't know that there was urban web stormwater there, or we were told that the depth of this was this when it was actually this. The electrical, we're building a retaining wall here, and we've deliberately spaced out and ordered 2 metre sleepers instead of 2 4 sleepers because the conduit's running there, but it'll actually be 300 metres to the left. And it's like, well, we would have gotten 2 4 type thing,
Yeah.
So those are the forecast things that go wrong. And then obviously there's the weather, or, people are sick, stuff like that. That tends to throw people off a little bit.
So when you were saying, obviously you're speaking to the clients, Matt, about drainage and things like that, it sounds like you're also in high communication and will suggest ideas to the clients too, not just relying on Dean. You'll say, well, this is what we need to do.
Yeah. Well, jobs grow all the time. Almost every job that we do, there will be extras. And sometimes I'll say to a client, I'll be like, oh, probably wouldn't spend your money on that. Like, and what I like to say to them, and what I do believe in, I'm like, it's not what I want, it's what you want. But if I like to pretend that your job is my home, what would I want for my home? I'd want to make sure that it lasts. I want to make sure that it's done right. I want to make sure that it looks good. So for me, I'm like, if your property's going to flood every single time that it rains, and I've just spent all of this time and all of your money on this landscaping, what's the point if it's just going to go all soggy,
a trip at the finish line.
Yeah,
exactly. And is that something that you guys find that is just an absolute must, drainage? Is like, depending on the areas you're working in, the slopes, and whether it's clay or sand.
Yep. I mean, it's in big writing on the trailer, drainage and excavation.
Yeah.
They go hand in hand, and what Matt was touching on about the variations as they're going, and the communication he has with the clients. I think that's an area where, like, we've both improved on in the last year. Like how the method used to go with variations was, well, the quote's the quote. We'll type up the variations at the end and then submit it. Obviously, learning from that as the business owner, and yourself when you've got tradies at your place, you don't want that bill at the end.
You want to be in control.
Yeah. So I think, we don't do any variations now until we've had that conversation with the client, until we've emailed it, until they've ticked the box.
In writing, yeah.
And that's just learning from experience.
Yeah.
Because it can hurt you. It can hurt you big. Which everyone's had those business lessons. But
it's also full transparency too to the clients.
Exactly.
To think if a variation is going to be $1,000, they know what it's going to be, rather than saying we need to do this, then it comes in at $3,000. They're
Correct.
like, oh,
yeah. And it's just that practice and experience, I guess, as being the site leader and the quota. How does that gel, and then how does it come full circle to the client that the communication channels are always open between all three of us?
Yeah. And you said you got your trailer and things like that. What type of equipment have you guys got? You got a few cars, or
yeah. So Matt and I got four door utes that can tow the big tip trailer.
Yep.
Got a little 1-ton excavator and a mini dumper. So we find those go hand in hand. If you're not having to push the wheelbarrow all day, you got the mini dumper. Does 3 or 4 barrows at a time. Lifts up, fill your skip bin. Backfill the drainage behind the retaining wall. All those things, that prevent the injury, I guess. My ribs slipped out a couple of times, so I don't like lifting barrows and twisting, but that's why we invested in the equipment and the machinery.
And the fatigue, like these days, like back in the day when I was an apprentice, there's your wheelbarrow for 3-4 weeks, go for it. But now it's all about the fatigue. How do you guys find, Matt, more so for you, mate, how do you find the efficiency with the little excavator and the dumper?
Really, really high. I always ask the apprentices how they're feeling. And, you know, like if one goes, oh, you know, centered a bit too hard at basketball the other night, you know, feeling a bit sore, I'll be like, okay, well, I'll take you off that task. But having all of the machinery really helps, especially the dumper. You know, we've had quite a few big jobs where, you know, you look at it and you're like, oh, this would be just days upon days of just running the barrows, and, you know, it's instead they're just standing on the back of it and, you know, like, you know, loading the bin, unloading.
Safe, easy,
and quicker. Yeah. And you see it with the profitability at the end of the job, because obviously, you're quoting for your machines to be there.
Yeah.
And you're quoting your labour for the boys to do it. And the speed and efficiency that it happens at. You know, it's a big hit, obviously, if you're buying your machine, or, you know, you got 3 or 4 things financed, you know, you're just seeing the bank balance go, oh, finance, but you got to remember, oh, well, we did that job quicker, so that's covered. It's covered.
Exactly.
And instead of having one person operating the excavator, loading barrows, and then you've got to have 2 people running the barrows so that they can lift them into the bin, you've got one person, one apprentice on the barrow, one person on the excavator. So if there's 3 or 4 of us on site, or 3 of us on site, that gives that extra pair of hands to be going and doing something else.
Yeah,
like they could
the system.
Yeah, setting out steel for a retaining wall, or focusing on heights.
Doing the cream of the job,
or sending them off to go shopping, you know, like there could be a day of shopping where, you know, okay, well, we need to get the pavers, we need to get the conc mix, we need to get the materials, and if Dean's out quoting, or if, you know, he's doing something else, then I can send off one of the apprentices to do that. So that's where having that machinery just really helps, you know, free up everything, really.
They can fit through doors, the mini dumpers?
Yeah. So, yeah, we can fit through like a garage door. So if our only access is through a garage door, like that can get through there. The excavator can as well. So
yeah, if Matt's shoulders can get through the pedestrian doorway, the machines can get through.
So how big's the excavator you got, sorry?
So it's just the 1-tonner.
The 1-tonner,
So we'll go into tracks in, we'll go to 680.
Perfect.
And then the mini dumper's 580. So, you know, that means you're not smacking the door frame, or...
That's a good combination.
Yeah, so both of them you can get on the 3.5-ton trailer at once. So yeah, we haven't flexed up to the truck yet. I'm getting some heat from different directions. Is that may be the next?
You got to check that finance account, mate.
Yeah. As I said, the accountant was downstairs, so might have a convo on the way out.
Were they sweating when you walked up? Or
nah, he was all good. He's all good.
Speaking of sort of machines and things on site, do you see that the way of the future with landscaping, in the sense less of the manual labour, like grunt of a jackhammer and a wheelbarrow for 3 months, and using machines safe, easy?
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, he got the Halo auger attachment for the excavator. That was probably the last big win for everyone. So that saved, you know, 90% of the jackhammering, and, you know, if that halo's not completely green, then you know that you're out, or something like that.
So explain the Halo auger if no one knows what that is.
So it's an auger attachment for the excavator. So it's an automatic whole machine. So the ring glows green when you're plumb, and then it will glow red if you're, you know, slightly off, and it will tell you which way you're off. So you don't even need someone like standing there to be like, yep, you're plumb, or you're straight, or you're this. It just tells you straight away. Yeah,
it makes the holes for the retaining wall or deck or whatever you're doing a one-man job, because you've got the piece of technology.
So it's an LED?
Yeah,
lights
LED
up.
ring. It attaches into the cigarette lighter port on the excavator itself, and you'd be good to go. So
I keep forgetting that excavators have cigarette ports in them.
Charge your phone, do whatever.
What about measurements? Can it measure, or do you think the technology could be there to measure?
The technology probably is there, but for what we're using it for, you know, the tape measure and the dotted spray paint does work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does work enough for us. But yeah, definitely. Like, I know, like, I didn't have any machinery throughout my apprenticeship.
Yeah.
So I had the full taste of you know barrows and the pick, but
to be fair, so did I. And probably my 4th year.
Yeah.
So.
It makes you humble. It humbles you.
But these apprentices, they don't know how good they got it.
I know.
You know.
I've always got a story I tell the guys when I started out. It was a job in Toorak. We had 2 of us had to remove a full tennis court, and it was like 130 mil thick. for like 4 weeks.
Yep.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
They don't get it. But anyway.
It's character building.
One final question for you guys. The future of landscaping businesses. So if someone started out a landscaping company today with a ute and a trailer, what do you think they would need to do differently compared to when you started, Dean?
Yep. I'd say the Google, Instagram, like marketing yourself straight away. It's something that I haven't done. You know, I didn't do that for the first 8 years of the business. I was just solely relying on word of mouth.
Yep.
I think that's something that I could have done straight away. And then what we touched on before, like the open communication and transparency to the clients, whether it's your first job or your 1,000th job. Chatting about variations as they go through. Things change. Like you could rock up day one, you know, start pulling something up and be like, oh, this is totally different to what we'd expected.
Yeah.
And just honesty and just
perfect.
That's what I'd say. Just
excellent.
The communication.
And Matt, for someone stepping into a leading role or a 2IC role, what's a bit of advice you think you could say to someone?
Don't feel like you're drowning. Ask for help. That's probably what I did with Dean. And mental health as well is probably one of the biggest ones.
Yep.
If you can't look after your own mental health, how are you going to look after everybody else's? So if you're feeling down, if you're feeling like there's too much pressure or that you can't do it, you can speak to people. Like I speak to Dean all the time about my mental health, what's going on in my personal life. He does the same. And that's the open communication, I think, is key there. So always ask if you've got a mate who's also stepping into the same role or you've got contacts somewhere else, like ask.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that. It's also about realizing that everyone is going to make mistakes and not to be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Like he was yelling at me almost every day when I first stepped up.
I heard him coming up the elevator.
Yeah, he's quite mean, isn't he? Yeah.
It's a tough environment.
Yeah. But he really, really grilled me, and he did it for the benefit of me, not even necessarily for the benefit of the business. It was purely just for me. He was like, you need to learn how to step up. You need to do these things. Like, this is what you need to do. And instead of being like, oh, well, what's with this sudden attitude change of, I was the best apprentice, blah, blah, blah. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, you need to improve on this.
Yeah.
It wasn't the work itself. Yeah. It's the rest of it.
Yeah.
The rest of landscaping or the rest of running the business or being the team leader, the communication, the skills he could do with his eyes shut.
That's really great.
It's navigating the rest.
It seems like you guys have a really good setup going, and I think, having Matt there, you guys are a fantastic team, and look forward to seeing what Can Do in the future come. So, Dean, Matty, thanks heaps for coming in, mate.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap for this episode of The Front Garden, brought to you by Landscaping Victoria and Straight Curve Garden Edging. Proud supporters of the landscaping industry. Don't forget to follow the podcast on your favourite platforms so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed today's chat, share it with your crew, your mates, or on your socials. Let's keep growing this community together. I'm Adam Hompas. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you next time, the next episode of The Front Garden.